Today the biggest news comes from Serbia. Here, despite mounting threats from Moscow, Serbia is deepening its support for Ukraine through covert arms transfer and reconstruction offers, signaling that it is no longer willing to be intimidated. Belgrade continues to play both sides, but the balance is shifting, and each new step brings it closer to the Western camp. Despite its historical alignment with Moscow, Serbia continues to support Ukraine's war effort quietly. As we noted in the previous report, Serbian arms producers are expanding shipments of ammunition to Ukraine, using grey scheme transfers through NATO intermediaries. Shell components from Serbian factories are being exported to companies in Bulgaria and the Czech Republic, which assemble them and deliver the final products to the front. Delivering over 100,000 artillery shells and 1 million rounds of ammunition, the scale of these operations has drawn sharp criticism from Russian intelligence, which accused Belgrade of profiting from the war while hiding behind a cowardly multi-vector policy. But the Kremlin's warnings have not reversed Serbia's behavior. If anything, it appears to have emboldened it. President Alexander Vučić has now pledged to help rebuild Ukrainian cities as a gesture of continued support. While the announcement came during a summit in Odessa, Vučić has repeated the message on Serbian television, making it clear that the offer is not just a one-off claim. Although Serbia has not joined any European Union sanctions against Russia and refuses to sign anti-Russian declarations, the government continues to emphasize Ukraine's territorial integrity and offer humanitarian assistance. These actions include earlier deliveries of generators and medical supplies, and now a readiness to contribute to post-war reconstruction. The Kremlin has taken notice, but public threats have not deterred Vučić's position. What makes this balancing act even more delicate is the divide between Serbia's political leadership and its population. Serbian society remains overwhelmingly sympathetic to Russia, a legacy of cultural, historical, and geopolitical ties, along with a deep distrust of the West after the Yugoslav wars. The government, however, remains committed to European Union accession and understands that cooperation with Ukraine is now part of that deal. Rather than openly choosing a side, Belgrade is attempting to appease Brussels through quiet aid deliveries and public gestures of goodwill, without provoking domestic backlash or triggering a confrontation with Moscow by cutting ties with Russia completely. This strategy of silent alignment has worked so far, but each new step toward Ukraine and the West makes it harder to sustain. As reported previously, Russia has already responded with a sharp escalation of its own, with a powerful explosion struck the Krusek munitions plant supplying arms to Ukraine, injuring 7 workers. Serbian officials did not publicly assign blame, but the timing and pro-Russian analysts strongly suggest sabotage. Moscow has also used diplomatic pressure, state media smears, and veiled threats to signal that further alignment with the West will carry consequences. With Russian stakes in Serbia's energy sector, particularly through Gazprom's Serbian subsidiary, being increasingly vulnerable to European sanctions, Serbia is placed under further pressure to choose between Russia or deeper Western integration. This growing tension reveals that Serbia is no longer a pliant, as Moscow once assumed. Arms shipments continue through third countries despite public denials by the Serbian government, and reconstruction offers are now made openly. And although Belgrade refuses to join sanctions, it is moving closer to the European camp, not through grand announcements, but through consistent incremental defiance. Russia's decision to escalate with sabotage may have backfired. It did not silence Serbia and may have only convinced its leadership that neutrality is no longer sustainable. Despite deep social and historical ties to Russia, Serbian officials may now start to realize that continued alignment with Moscow is a losing hand, and that integration with the West offers a more secure long-term path. Overall, Serbia is quietly leaving Russia behind. While avoiding open confrontation, its aid to Ukraine is expanding and is becoming harder to ignore. The longer this balancing act continues, the more obvious it becomes that Serbia sees its future in cooperating with Europe, and not as Moscow's last outpost in the Balkans, recalibrating the country's position through quiet defiance, economic opportunity, and geopolitical necessity.